Do you know the reason why many startups do not enter a new market? Many times entrepreneurs, people generally speaking, think that they need a unique idea to enter a new market. We all would like to have ideas that are unique and inimitable, like the one by Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, and so on. But the problem with unique idea is that most ideas don't actually work in real life, and additionally, create a new successful startup is so much more than just an idea. What do we need to create a successful startup? We need, of course, to find an idea that will be fit for the market and for our users. We also need to know whether we can build upon that idea, whether we will be paying customers for the idea, whether we can test the idea in the market and eventually make profits out of that idea. Essentially, to create a venture based on the new idea. And this is what we are going to learn in this video. So throughout the video, we will understand how to assess opportunity to build a startup to enter the market and when to do so. We will also learn how to take advantage to be the first in the market, or in some circumstances, whether to wait instead of being the first entered into the market, the first mover into the market. I will also show you at the end of the video how it's possible in some circumstances to actually imitate, other than being the first in the market, to imitate successful business models, and by doing so create equally commercially viable startups and businesses. And also we will learn how to create a successful startup, how to overcome one of the most challenging moments for a startup, which is the new entry. How can we define new entry? New entry is one of the essential part of entrepreneurship. And of course, it has good side and bad side as well. The way to manage the new entry is through entrepreneurial strategy. So the entrepreneurial strategy will allow the entrepreneur to minimize the risk and the cost of a new entry, but at the same time to maximize and exploit the benefits of a new entry. How can the entrepreneur do this? So he can consider some important factors to how to generate the new market opportunity. Consider that when you generate a new opportunity, you may even create a new market. So many times entrepreneurs are creating new technology, are innovating with new technology, but we are also creating a new market. And after doing so, how you can exploit this new market, this new opportunity. And importantly, you also need to keep in mind a feedback loop. So how can you incorporate feedback coming from your users, from the market, about your product, even in some cases from your competitors, and how you can improve your product, or even how you can create new products that can complement your new entry in the market with additional new entries. So to have a better understanding of this, we can take a look at the entrepreneurial strategy, the generation and exploitation of new entry opportunities. So in this diagram, we see that as usual, we have some factors at the beginning that are deeply related, deeply connected with the entrepreneur. In particular, knowledge. So what is the knowledge that the entrepreneur has? And other resources, all the resources of the entrepreneur. If you recall from prior videos, we have talked about intellectual ability of the entrepreneur, the network of the entrepreneur, the assets that the entrepreneur has, and how the entrepreneur can bring all of this together to create a new venture. This is essentially, in two words, a resource bundle. So a combination of different resources. And after the entrepreneur creates the resource bundle, then he can move on to the assessment of a new opportunity. And this should be a new opportunity for him or her as an entrepreneur. So it's not just a theoretical type of opportunity, but should really be based on the personal characteristics, the willingness of the entrepreneur to act entrepreneurially, to behave entrepreneurially. And after this, the entrepreneur can deploy the new market strategy, considering also the risk management, and finally the organization. And all of this will lead to the performance of a firm, which will give to the entrepreneur a feedback loop on the entrepreneurial resources, feedback loop that can help the entrepreneur improve the products or even to create new products that will complement his or her own first product. How should this new opportunity be? So a definition of this is that the new opportunity should be based generally on a technology or on a product that is valuable, so that deliver clear value proposition, clear opportunities for the market, for the customers, that is rare, meaning that not many competitors or even no competitors are doing this already, and that is inimitable, which means that it's very difficult for competitors to imitate this. Generally, this type of technology will be also protected by patent. So you can file a patent application in case you have a technology that will match all these characteristics: valuable, rare, and inimitable. But the technology component is only one of the parts, one of the resources in the resource bundle. So as we know, the resource bundle is a combination of different resources. So let me give you an example of what some of these resources can be beyond technology. For instance, people, workforce, especially a skilled workforce, can be one of the elements in the resource bundle. But it's not enough. Why we stress on bundle? Because we need other elements to really be successful. For example, even though we have exceptional workforce, highly skilled workforce, but we lack of organizational culture, our team most likely will underperform. So a combination, a bundle of skilled workforce and innovative culture, successful organizational culture will of course steer people to achieve even higher results. Besides these resources, the entrepreneur will also need to have a superior understanding of a market. What is the market knowledge for the entrepreneur? It's not only the type of knowledge that comes from a market research. Don't get me wrong here, I'm not saying that the market research is not important. It is actually important. The market research can help the entrepreneur to corroborate, to sustain his plan, his go-to-market strategy. But the market research can't be the very origin for the entrepreneur to initiate a new venture. This will be based on a deeper, more profound understanding of the market. Let me give you an example about this as well. I think that all of you probably bike from time to time, but you might not know that the first mountain bikes, the one you can use for hiking and off-road, were not invented by bicycle manufacturers, but they were actually invented by users, by bike enthusiasts that use normal traditional bicycles in hiking and off-road. And well, you can imagine what happened there, like the bicycle always broke down easily. So then what they did was to create this innovation, because they had a superior understanding firsthand as a user of bicycles deployed in an environment that was not the one the traditional bicycles were designed to be. However, this, let's say, abnormal usage of bicycle led to this new innovation. A new technology which actually created a completely new market. And this leads to the second point. technological knowledge. This is also a very important component for the entrepreneur to perform and exploit a new market opportunity. Technology knowledge, again, means the ability of the entrepreneur not only to master new technology, but also to understand how to apply a new technology in different contexts, in different industries. Let me give you an example here as well. Think of laser technology. Laser technology does have a lot of different applications, a lot of different industrial applications. We have laser technology used in manufacturing, but we have laser technology used in healthcare medical services for skin problems or for eyesight. So completely different usages of laser technology. However, all these usages of this technology come from different entrepreneurs that decided to adopt this technology in different type of industries. Again, this is an example of technology knowledge by the entrepreneur. Resources, market knowledge, technology knowledge. So all of these are important, but when the entrepreneur is assessing really the attractiveness of a new entry opportunity, there are a few more factors that come into play. One is related to the information that the entrepreneur will gather. We know that the entrepreneur has already a knowledge, but besides this, the entrepreneur may want to get some more substantial, granular information. However, entrepreneurs should keep in mind that there is a window of opportunity for the market entry. The window of opportunity means when this market entry can be performed successfully, which means not too early. So it doesn't always the case that a very early market entry is successful, and not too late, not to be a so-called laggard or latecomer into the market, the last one to come into the market. Here again, let me stress this concept. The market attractiveness is based on entrepreneur assessment. So it's not a theoretical assessment of an opportunity, it's not a trend, it's not something that analysts will point out, but it's the understanding, the deep understanding of an entrepreneur that he should take action to exploit that opportunity. Let me show you this diagram, which I think can help understand better about the assessment by the entrepreneur. So as you can see, we have the search of new information, we have a knowledge, the existing knowledge by the entrepreneur. When we have this, we also reach a level of information on the new entry. But this is not enough. We also need to understand what is the level of comfort, what is the preference for the entrepreneur to actually make a mistake. Entrepreneurs do make mistakes. However, through entrepreneurial mindset and behavior, they have some degree of comfort in making decisions under uncertainty and also to accept a acceptable level of risk, and also what kind of mistakes they may commit. So what are these two errors for the entrepreneur? So one could be the error of omission. The error of omission is for the entrepreneur not to act, to miss an opportunity. Or the opposite, the error of commission. So the entrepreneur sees an opportunity, he or she thinks that this opportunity is good for him or her. However, after acting entrepreneurially on that opportunity, then the entrepreneur will find out that his idea maybe was not the right one, or the product development was not the right one, or there was no need in the market. So this will be an error of commission. Third element, as we said, is the window of opportunity. So the window of opportunity is still open, so then the entrepreneur will finally decide whether to exploit or not the new entry. And this leads to the first mover advantage, which is the typical advantage of entrepreneurs that enter the market before anyone else. I think that in this figure, we can clearly break down the advantages of a first mover versus the disadvantages. So what are the advantages of a first mover? One is cost advantages, especially the learning curve. When you are the first to enter the market, when you are the first to develop a new product, then you learn a lot. Then you have your learning curve, which means when your people, your organization is busy learning. But after a while, you will achieve some level of knowledge which enables you to perform in the market better than your competitors. And this will eventually lead to some cost advantages, because then all the new entrants, the newcomers in the market will have to go exactly through that learning curve to experience how to make the product, how to improve the processes, and so on. Cost advantages that can also be related to the economy of scale. So if you enter first, you invest first, and when you increase your volume of production, then it could be that you will be able to achieve economy of scale, which means that the cost per unit that you produce will decrease based on the increase of the volume of units that you are selling. Of course, another advantage for the first mover will be that there is less competition. So you are the first one, sometimes you're the one creating a market, creating an industry. Obviously, less competitors in that area. You can also secure some important channels. For example, channels with distributors, channels with suppliers, channels with partners, and so on. You will also achieve a prime position with your customer. So prime position means that the customer will look up to your brand, to your product, because you were the one, the first to create that. Again, a brief example can help understand this. In the 40s, so almost 100 years ago, the first car maker to produce four-wheel drive vehicles was Jeep, an American car maker. And since it was the very first one to do this, then people start calling that type of vehicle Jeep, because they literally identify that type of car with the producer. So this is an example of prime position for customer. If you are the first mover, you can achieve this. Finally, you will also achieve expertise from participation. You are in the industry, you know people in the industry, you will get information, you will get the knowledge. It's sort of like informal knowledge that there is in an industry. Talking to experts in the industry and so on, talking to colleagues, talking to business partners. And all of this does have a value which your competitors cannot imitate, or they cannot imitate quickly. But at the same time, there are also some disadvantages. So what are the disadvantages for a first mover? We can break them down into three main categories. First one is on environmental instability. Environmental instability means uncertainty about the market, uncertainty about the demand, uncertainty about the technology. The second one is about customer uncertainty. So this is not just about the uncertainty of the demand. It's more about whether your customer will understand your product. If your customer will understand your value proposition or not. And final one is the short lead time. So you have a very short period of time when you can actually exploit your market entry and new innovation. Then you know that all the others will come in. And in some cases, it could be like a bigger competitor stepping in the new industry that you created, or the new segment you created. And that could be obviously very painful. So let's get to a few more details about these three disadvantages of first mover. First is environmental instability. Environmental instability means demand uncertainty. So whether you are right when you estimated the demand, whether you're meeting a real pain point from your customer, in some cases, even if you are creating the right standards in the industry, especially when you create a new industry and there are no other use case examples, role models. Are you really creating this in the best way possible or not? Because if you are not, then there will be someone else coming second, but maybe with higher efficiency, and he will eventually defeat your organization. Another type of uncertainty is about the technology, whether there is some technology uncertainty. Are you betting on the right technology? Is your technology the best technology, the best fit for that market need? Is your technology stable? Again, there could be competitors that come in with a better technology or with an improved version of your technology just because they look at you, they let you test the market for them, they let you test the technology for them, and then they were able to duplicate it, improve it, and then come to the market with a better value proposition, a better product with a more stable technology. Let's now move to the second one. The second one was related to customer uncertainty. So here means whether you are able to execute your go-to-market strategy. What are the most appropriate channels to sell your new products? What are the most appropriate marketing strategies for your products? Of course, you don't know any of this. This is also very critical and a huge challenge for first movers. I think that here we can seek some help from a very good framework, which is the adoption of diffusion of innovation framework by Roger. Roger was one of the first professors to specifically study about the diffusion of innovation. In his framework considers a few factors to analyze whether an innovation will be successfully adopted by consumers. Here we are only going to focus on two of the factors identified by Roger. So the first one is about observability. Is your innovation easily observed? Meaning, can people see your products? Can people see products similar to yours easily? In a shopping mall, in e-commerce, and so on. If this is the case, if people can see them easily, so in that circumstance, we can have some more likely adoption of innovation. People can see in the shop, or maybe can see their friends, their peers using this new innovation, and they will be pushed to use the new innovation as well. The second factor determined by Roger is related to trialability. Can potential users try out? Can potential users test your product or your service? And this is extremely important, especially when your product or your service is new, because they don't know it. They don't know the features, they don't know how to use it. You need to educate them. And of course, a good education is to let them try. Think of your experience as digital users. In the digital space, there are companies giving always something for free to you. Free trial, free testing, a week, 2 weeks, a month, and then they will start charging you. Why so? Exactly for this point, because they want you to test the new innovation. They want you to see how it feels to use that innovation. Even if you like it, you will most likely purchase it. So we can use these two factors from Rogers paradigm. So I'm not explaining all the Rogers paradigm here, but only these two factors that can help us solve this terrific challenge of customer uncertainty. The last first mover disadvantage is related to the lead time. So we have a very short period of time where we can actually make the most out of our entry in the market. This is our opportunity to create barriers and to avoid with our competitors, especially in case of bigger companies coming into the market and disrupting our first mover advantage. How can we do this? Well, we can build customer loyalty, for example, like customer loyalty programs, some bonus points, the miles. The typical way of airlines is to give you like a loyalty card and then miles for free. I don't think we still do this that much, but definitely this was a case before COVID. One also very good strategy is to create some switching cost. Apple is a master in this. They do create a lot of switching costs. All their products are incompatible with Windows, Office, Android, and this is for real because this is intentional because they really want to avoid people to migrate from the Apple ecosystem to Android, Windows ecosystem, and so on. There are also other type of strategies that you can deploy. For example, you can protect the uniqueness of your product through branding. Branding is generally a good way to hit your customers' emotions. Branding is mostly about emotions. So whilst marketing is more about persuading people, branding is about the emotion of people. And emotion is something that you can build to make your product feel so exclusive and unique. Also, another strategy, more of a commercial type of strategies, is to secure sources. For example, an exclusive agreement with a supplier or an exclusive agreement with a distributor. So all of these are good strategies that you can adopt to enhance your first mover advantage and make sure that you are not wasting your first mover advantage, because otherwise, if you are not able to build these barriers against competitors, so in that case, it's probably even not the best strategies to be the first one in the market, because the risk of being the first one in the market will be so much higher than the benefits that you can reap from being in the market. This leads to the point of managing risk. New entry means the ability also to manage and balance the risk. Entrepreneurs are very good at this, are very good at manage and balance the risk. So two typical strategies that you can adopt when you want to manage the risk. So one could be to focus first on a specific target audience. Well, this is in case you're not doing a platform business model. For a platform business model, this probably is not an appropriate strategy, but in all the other cases, in all the other business models, this can be done. So this is a more of a narrow scope strategy, which means you focus on a specific target group or on a specific product, and you start from there. However, there is a downside in this, which is that if you fail to identify the right opportunity or your product development is not in line with market expectation and so on, so then obviously you relied only on that single project, that single product, and due to this, your company eventually may fail. So in that case, actually the opposite strategy can also be adopted. The opposite strategy is more of a broad scope strategy to have a portfolio, so to diversify. And through diversification, then you are not reliant only on one single segment of a market. generally for an entrepreneur at the very beginning. So it could be difficult to do a broad scope strategy because he or she will not have enough resources to do so, but it could be adopted in a different timeline. So maybe you start with a narrow scope and then through the feedback loop, you start adding new products or new services that are complementing your first scope. And this will lead you to be in a broader scope strategy through risk diversification, which is a good way also to come up with further innovations and new product development in your organization. As I promised at the end, I would like to touch on imitation strategy. And as I said, it's not that only through first mover advantage you can be a successful entrepreneur. There are many examples of entrepreneurs that they were able to wait, see, learn from the first mover and then to imitate, to maybe adapt the business model, to do some adjustment, some pivoting based on what they observed in the market, and then come up with the right solution in the market. So imitation is obviously easier, and we can say as a joke that some companies will have like more of a research, copy, and development rather than just a research and a development type of approach to new innovations. There are many ways of strategizing imitation. One of them, which is obviously also completely legal, is through franchising. So franchising is a legal way to actually duplicate your product offering in your business model in other markets, in other geographies through a franchising agreement. Or a Me Too strategy. Me Too strategy is when you modify some minor product changes and then you enter a new market. In some cases, you are even improving your first mover competitor products and you're coming up to the market with an improved version compared to the first mover in the market. In conclusions, what we learn is that managing newness is a combination of managing some liabilities of new innovations, primarily learning new things, the time of creating a new product, the time of creating a new company, the time of creating a new company culture, and so on. So these are all the liabilities of managing newness on one hand. And on the other hand, the assets, the advantages of managing new innovations. For example, being the first one to learn new things and then to deliver, to double down on your learning curve, your previous experiences, and so on. It's also important for entrepreneurs to understand whether they're going in the right direction or not, because in some cases, entrepreneurs, they can actually double down on the market entry that they are doing. But in some other cases, they need to understand that the market entry is not the appropriate strategy or is not even the appropriate opportunity. And in that case, they should be agile to pivot, to redirect their resources to exploit maybe some nearby market opportunities that might be worth pursuing. I promised that I would have given you some examples of very famous entrepreneurs. One of the richest entrepreneurs in Asia Pacific who managed to succeed tremendously through the imitation strategy. So stay tuned, because in the next video I will share this little story about this entrepreneur and how he succeeded through a very successful strategy to imitate a successful product from a market and bring it into Asia Pacific. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Bye!